Hello students, today I am going to teach you fundamentals of semiconductors. So in this topic we are going to cover PN junction diode, current equations, diffusion and drift current densities, energy band diagram, forward and reverse bias characteristics, transition and diffusion capacitance, switching characteristics, breakdown in PN junction diodes. So under semiconductor diode you will see the introduction to semiconductors, PN junction diode constructions, Zener biasing, forward bias characteristics, reverse bias characteristics, current equations, diffusion and drift current density, energy band diagram, transition and diffusion capacitance, switching characteristics, breakdown in PN junctions, diodes. So on the screen you see the semiconductors. So different components, electronic components are there. op-amp IC, then transistors, then diodes, capacitor and resistors, isn't it? So what is a semiconductor? A semiconductor is a material which has the electrical conductivity to a degree between that of a metal and that of a insulator. So conductivity of silicon is 50 into 10 raised to power 3 and that of germanium is 50 ohm per centimeter. Now semiconductors are the foundation of modern electronics including transistors, solar cells, light emitting diodes, quantum dots, digital and analog integrated circuits. Now here we compared silicon atom versus germanium atoms. Now why these semiconductors are very much important? That is one point. Because this silicon and germanium having free electrons in the outermost orbits, and these free electrons are responsible for very high current which is flowing when they are doped with some other impurities. So you just see the silicon with 14 protons and 14 neutrons and 14 electrons. So in first orbit there are 2 electrons, in second orbit there are 8 electrons, and in the last orbit, third orbit, the 4 electrons which are remaining, there are free electrons. Now in germanium there are 32 protons, 32 neutrons and 32 electrons. So first orbit 2 electrons, second 8, likewise, and in last orbit there are 4 free electrons. Okay. Now the classification of semiconductors. There are two types of semiconductors. One is intrinsic semiconductor, other is extrinsic semiconductors. Now what is meant by intrinsic semiconductor? A pure form of semiconductor is known as a intrinsic semiconductor. The concentration of electrons in the conduction band is equal to the concentration of holes in the valence band. So Ni is equal to Pi in intrinsic semiconductor. Now conductivity is very poor. That is, for example, in pure silicon or in pure germanium, they are tetravalent, 4 free electrons in the last orbit. So you just see the covalent bands and valence electrons are shown in the screen for silicon atoms and for germanium atoms. So what happens? These free electrons are combined with other free electrons of the second silicon atom and they form the covalent bonds. And on the surface, the free electrons remains. They are known as valence electrons. After covalent bonding, still there are free electrons remaining. So these are the valence electrons. Now, what happens in extrinsic semiconductor? It is an impure form of a semiconductor again. To increase the conductivity of intrinsic semiconductor, small amount of impurity, pentavalent or trivalent, is added into it. So this process of adding impurity is known as a doping process. 1 or 2 atoms of the impurity for 10 raised to power 6 intrinsic atoms are added. Now the electronic concentration is not equal to the hole concentration. One type of carrier will predominate in an extrinsic semiconductor. Now after impurity added or after the doping process, the extrinsic semiconductor which is formed is again classified into two types. One is N-type semiconductor, other is P-type semiconductor. So why their name as N-type and P-type, that we will see now. A small amount of pentavalent impurity is added, so it is denoting one extra electron for conduction. So it is called as a donor impurity. So it is a donor. See, in silicon atom what happens? There are 4 free electrons. Now we are adding pentavalent impurity. So what happens out of these 5 electrons? These 4 electrons of silicon, they combine together. So again covalent bonding is formed. Now 4 plus 4, again what remains? 1 electron is free there. Now this is a donor. Now it is a positive charged ions. Electron concentration is greater than hole concentration now. Now most commonly used dopants are arsenic, antimony and phosphorus. They are all pentavalent impurities. So what happens here? Each and every atom of silicon is now having 1 free electrons in its outermost orbit due to this impurity. So electron charges are increased here. So the N-type, and it is known as the N-type semiconductors now because of a negative charge carriers, free negative charge carriers. Now here we will see P-type semiconductor now. A small amount of trivalent impurity if we is added, it accepts free electrons in the place of hole, so it is called acceptor impurity or acceptors. So there are negatively charged ions are there. Now hole concentration is greater than electron concentration. Now most commonly used dopants are again aluminium, boron and gallium. They are trivalent impurities. Now what happens here? Silicon atom with 4 free electrons, they combine with 3 electrons of a trivalent impurity. Now what happens here? All 3 electrons get engaged and still 1 electron is free. Hole is free for to get combined because there is no other electron is there for pairing. So what happens here now? Positive hole remain as it is. You just see on the screen. So what happens here? Positive charge ions are more, and again there is this is known as a P-type semiconductors. Now mass action flow. Under thermal equilibrium, the product of the free electrons concentration and the free hole concentration is equal to a constant equal to square or intrinsic carrier concentration. So Np is equal to Ni square. Now electrical neutrality in semiconductors. Now positive charge density and negative charge density. P is hole concentration, Nd is concentration of donor ions. So what happens here? P plus Nd is equal to N plus Na. Now charge density in semiconductor. In P-type material, Np is equal to Ni square upon Na, and in N-type material, Pn is equal to Ni square upon Nd. Now the mass action law, what it tells? Np into Pp is equal to Ni square. And here in N-type semiconductor, Nn into Pn is equal to Ni square. Now what happens to the conductivity? The conductivity of semiconductor is what? Is equal to epsilon is equal to Qp mu p plus Qn mu n. And the resistivity of the semiconductor is rho is equal to 1 upon epsilon. So Q is equal to 1.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 19 coulomb. Now what happens here? Here you just see the conductivity of semiconductors. Now this is J is equal to Jp plus Jn. So J is equal to epsilon E. The conductivity of semiconductor is again Qp plus mu p plus Qn mu n, and the resistivity of semiconductor is rho is 1 upon epsilon. Now what the problems are given here to solve the different average field, Now here consider the intrinsic silicon bar of cross section 5 cm square and 0.5 cm at room temperature 300 degree Kelvin. An average field of 20 volt is applied across the end of silicon bar. Now you have to calculate the electron hole component of current density, total current in the bar, and the resistivity of the bar. Now what is PN junction diode? It is a p-type and n-type material, they are combined together, so it is PN junction is formed. The anode is a positive terminal and cathode is a negative terminal. The symbol is shown on the screen. Now dopant distribution in PN junction diode. There are excess number of holes present in p-type semiconductor and they are diffused to the n-type region. And in n-type semiconductor there are excess number of electrons are there, so they are diffused to the p-type region. So the charge moves from here to there. P-type towards, they are attracted towards n-type and electrons are attracted towards p-type. So the movement of charge carrier is continuously is there. Now in dopant distribution in PN junction, what happens? While moving here you see the excess holes when they diffuse to n-type region, because of the movement of these charges, positive and negative, what happens? A depletion region is formed. At some point all the positive charges they combine, they diffuse to one side and all negative charges. So that's why what happens? A depletion region is formed. Now this depletion region, we are going to calculate the depletion width. Okay. Now this W, depletion width, or the width of a depletion region is W, is given by this formula. Now PN junction forward bias. What is meant by forward biasing? When PN junction diode is connected with the p-type terminal is connected to the positive of the battery. On the screen you just see one battery is connected across p-type semiconductor PN junction, and positive terminal of battery is connected to p-type and negative terminal of battery is connected to n-type. So this type of connection is known as forward biasing of a diode. So you just see holes are moving towards n-type and free electrons are attracted towards n-type. So negative ions combine and positive ions combine and narrow depletion region is formed. Okay. Now what is PN junction reverse bias? In reverse bias condition exactly opposite is the case. The p-types in PN junction connected to the battery and positive terminal of diode is connected to the negative terminal of battery and negative terminal of diode is connected to the positive terminal of battery. So this type of connection is known as a reverse biasing of a diode. Here also you just see holes are moving towards, they are now attracted towards battery terminals. The holes are attracted towards battery terminals and electrons are attracted towards positive terminal of battery, and therefore the wide depletion region is formed. So width of depletion region in reverse bias condition is more as compared to the forward biasing condition. Now in the characteristic of PN junction diode, you just see in first quadrant a VI characteristics form, a voltage is taken on one axis and current on another axis up to 0.6 volt. The current and voltage remains 0, but after 0.6 volt there is an abrupt change in the current, or the current flows in very high amount in forward biasing condition. And if you observe in reverse bias mode, what happens? Up to reverse breakdown voltage, input current and voltage, they are 0, but after some point the leakage current and reverse breakdown current, there is a large flow of current in reverse bias condition. Now in forward bias condition characteristic, you see on the screen we have drawn this graph for germanium as well as silicon. Now the cutoff voltage of germanium is 0.3 volt and cutoff of silicon is 0.7 volt. After that, current changes. Okay, in reverse breakdown voltage also you just see the current value increases after some reverse breakdown voltages. Okay, so today we have covered so many points. So in next lectures we will see about rectifiers and